Gaming has been around us for decades now, and with the advance of technology, it has completely evolved. Whether it is Solitaire, Minecraft, or Fortnite, you probably have played the game at least once. The history of gaming is fascinating, and we all played a part in it. As technology gets more complex, all our favorite games gained more depth and improved player capability. So, let's see how we got here. Welcome to Facts for Days. In today's video, we're taking a trip down the memory lane to see how gaming development changed the world. Roots of gaming. If you try to get to the roots of gaming, you might get different answers. That's because people have their very own definition of video games. But the real story takes us back to 1940, when Alan Turing invented a chess game. This AI-controlled video game paved the way. Unfortunately, the game algorithm was far too complex and powerful to be run on computers, so Turing did it all manually. Alan Turing didn't live long enough to see how he changed the world of video games. Another great milestone was when Edward U. Condon invented the computer that could play the classic game called NIM. Steve Russell took things up a notch when he created the first based computer game called Space War. This first computer-based game was created on a huge university computer at MIT. This led to the creation of gaming communities all over the world. Arcade gaming. We can't talk about the history of gaming without mentioning Atari, which was the first arcade game that was invented in 1971 at Stanford. Nolan Bushnell and Ted Dabney took the concept of Space War and created a table tennis game called Pong. It was released in 1971 and became a huge success. This arcade game created the gaming industry as we know it today, like Nintendo, Atari, Wacom, and Stern Electronics. The game began selling rapidly all over shopping malls, bowling alleys, and arcades. However, the gaming market changed completely after the launch of games like Pac-Man in 1980. During this time, when arcade gaming was at its peak, console gaming joined the industry as German inventor Ralph H. Beer introduced the first gaming console. Later in 1989, video game consoles were handed to the home gaming community, so they would play at any time they wanted. This led to the invention of the Game Boy, which still is one of the highest-selling gaming consoles of all time. The beginning of multiplayer games. The next big step was to create a game where more than one player could play at the same time. When all the famous arcades and bowling alleys were full of games, there were a lot of competition amongst players to see who could beat the highest score. In 1973, the first multiplayer video game was introduced, which was called Empire, where up to 8 players could play at the same time. A computer-based system known as Plateau was created, which led to the first 3D multiplayer game called Spasm. During this time, games like Super Mario Bros. And Wii were introduced, where players could play together on the same computer. At this point of time, gaming was getting more popular among the younger generation. Yet none of us could ever have imagined that all households were going to have a gaming system in the future. Video gaming becomes a reality. By 1994, more than half of American households had a personal computer, where people started playing games. This led to the PC industry adding upgrades to CPUs and introducing the ability of web browsing, etc. A popular 3D game called Doom was launched on PCs and became stable for the entire gaming community. Among all the advancement in technology, the first ever combat shooting game called Gunfight came into the scene. You might be familiar with games like Call of Duty, but we bet you didn't know that Gunfight was the inspiration behind all the fan-favorite games of today, PCs and video games. A huge race started among computer and gaming manufacturers as PCs were built to have advanced processors to support gaming. When Sony introduced PlayStation 1 in 1994, the sales went through the roof. After the success of Sony, many hardware producers such as Microsoft gained an interest, and this led to the invention of the first Xbox in 2001. The rivalry between PlayStation and Xbox was already booming as they were introduced to the world of high-definition gaming. During this time, There were several viral video games, and people started to worry about the effect they would have on kids. But as more advancements came, PC gaming became more popular. Did you know that today's video game market is worth over 200 billion USDs? Online gaming. The biggest revolution came when LAN networks and internet was introduced. After the release of Windows 95, people were eager to buy Ethernet cards to get access to web browsing. This changed the world of multiplayer gaming because players from all around the world were able to participate in games. In 1993, the World Wide Web software became available to the public. However, we still had a long time before the internet was able to manage all the games we know today. In 1995, Nintendo introduced Satellite View, which allowed people to download video games directly to their consoles using this satellite technology, the modern world of gaming. Unfortunately, during the 90s the internet was slow and expensive, so many video games never took off. But the world's first internet console called Sega Gamecast was released, and this became responsible for the modern world of gaming. Since the 2000s, the internet became more affordable and improved so much that over 1.5 billion people with the internet use it to play video games. Now technology allows millions of people from different parts of the world to play games together. With every new generation of console and games, graphics and interactive gaming is better than ever. Mobile games. A huge milestone in gaming industry came when smartphones were introduced in 2007. The mobile gaming industry attracted more media attention as gamers joined online forums and blogs. After the launch of the original iPhone and the App Store, one of the most widely played games was, obviously, Candy Crush. This game has had over 500 million players. People were immediately attracted to the time-passing nature of video games, and games like Angry Birds and Candy Crush had billions of downloads. On the other hand, complex multiplayer games such as League of Legends and Clash of Clans were trying to connect fans from all around the world. The future of gaming. The future of gaming seems unclear, but exciting at the same time. The revolution of mobile games sure had its perks, but there are still a lot of limitations. Today, with the virtual reality technology, we can only hope that one day there will be a metaverse-like gaming industry. As of right now, there are almost 3 billion gamers worldwide, and the industry is only going to improve. If you look at today's technology, the gaming world in 2025 will be something we have never seen before. We will have to wait and see. What are some of your favorite games? Let us know in the comments.